All right, good afternoon, YouTube. This is my companion video to my recent history of the AR-10 versus the M14. First, I've got a Mini 14, which is an M14 in 223. And I also have an AR-15, which is obviously an AR-10 in 223. Just to show you kind of the differences between the two rifles. I'll start out with the safety. If you're in the gun community, you know what an AR-15 safety is like, M4 safety, AR-10 safety. Super easy. You have safe in this position, fire in this position, full auto would be all the way to the third position. If you're Mini 14, you have the M14 style safety, which comes from the M1 Garand. Forward is going to be shoot, back is going to be safe. Shoot, safe. Pretty smooth and completely ambidextrous. Which is kind of cool if that's something you value. In terms of magazines, this is a 20 round magazine. And you load one of these rifles by rocking and locking, almost like an AK, and your release is behind the magazine. Magazine out, tilted, rock and lock. Out, rock and lock. Once the magazine's loaded, pull this. Get your op rod running along there. And this does have a last round bolt open, which is very nice. So on the last round, it will stay open. Over on the AR-15, however, just a very simple push button. Very easy. Magazine in, magazine out. Straight in, straight out. This also has a last round bolt hold open, which is very nice. Fire the last shot. It holds itself open. Out with the old, in with the new. But on the AR, you have a magazine bolt hold open, which also is your bolt release. You do not get that on the M14 or the Mini 14. When you reload it, you got to re-rack it. Your charging handle over here is also non-reciprocating, which means when you shoot, this does not move. Whereas on the M1A, M14, and Mini 14, it moves every time. These are both gas guns. They're both really pretty similar in weight and size. These both have a 16-inch barrel, but you can see that I have a suppressor on the AR-15 right now. Price-wise, I think I paid $300 or $400 for this AR, and then it's got some goodies on it. Whereas the Mini 14, it's hard to find a nice Mini 14 for less than $800 or $900. Mounting accessories on them is difficult, just like it is on the M1A. I happen to have a Leopold 1x4 on here, but this is the ranch model with the scope rings, and a lot of Mini 14s don't come with that, so you're just kind of SOL. All right, I also have the full-size M1A. This one happens to have a Vietnam-era M14 stock. You can tell because you have the full auto cutout, but obviously I have no selector to put in there. This is a 2003 model year M1A. So it actually doesn't even have a threaded barrel or a bayonet lug. This was made during the ban years, during the Brady build. But it does have a flash hider cut into the barrel. Technically, it's a 22-inch barrel, which is funny. And then over here on the AR-10, I've got an 18-inch barrel. No flash hider because I just direct thread a suppressor on there. In fact, I've got the suppressor end cap right here. It just screws on. And then the suppressor off of my AR-15 can go on the AR-10. I have pop-up irons on here. Manual of arms is the exact same as the AR-15. Charging handle. Magazine just goes in. Bolt release, bolt hold open. Dust cover to keep crap out. AR-15 grip, AR-15 stock, AR-15 trigger group. Rail all the way down. Mounting an optic is as easy as possible. And I have a matching paint scheme on here as my AR-15 because I think that's funny. Over here, this is going to be quite similar to the Mini 14, but the Mini 14 is all aluminum in its metal construction, whereas this is all steel. It's all milled, nothing is cast, and you have a bolt hold open. It is not a bolt release, but it is a bolt hold open, which is cool. You got it on this side here. The Mini 14 does not have that. You also have fantastic iron sights. I can't really show them very well on camera. That never turns out quite right, but trust me, they're pretty good. Disassembly is pretty easy. The Mini 14 and M14 come apart the same. Trigger group, super simple. And then changing stocks on here is a breeze. That comes off for YouTube reasons. This is done below the camera, but I mean, you guys obviously know what I did. And there's your whole actual rifle. If you've seen Forrest Gump, you know, he takes one of these apart in like 30 seconds. So if Forrest Gump can do it, I think just about anyone can do it. All right, you can see trigger groups. This is all aluminum for the most part, the section of like the springs. But other than that, in their construction, these are almost completely identical. The spring is designed a little bit differently up here, but mostly interchangeable. But then when we move on to the actual rifle, Bill Ruger actually took some liberties and it changed a lot up at the front in the gas system to be able to make something that you could make completely out of cast aluminum. And that's why these for a long time were a lot cheaper than the full-size M1A. Stocks are almost identical, but the sling stays attached to the Mini 14, so it makes field stripping a little bit annoying. It's not difficult, but it stays on there, whereas the M14, which this is an M14 stock, not M1A, just stays right on there. I have a military sling on both of them, but they are quite similar internally. Here we have a 20-round magazine, 308. And then we have a 20-round official Ruger magazine. Look at that. These are kind of spendy. I mean, they're both kind of spendy. They're kind of it's how they are. You can see there is definitely a size difference and a weight difference with these rifles. All right, now as you can see with the AR-10 and the AR-15, they are far more similar than the M14 and the Mini 14. You have quite literally the exact same trigger group. They are completely interchangeable. This one has some parts kit trigger that I polished up myself with the old Dremel tool. And it's all right. It's an okay trigger with a Magpul standard stock and a Magpul grip. The AR-10, I have the nice polished trigger from PSA. It just came with it. I think it's a little bit nicer than the one I did. I've also done this stuff with some enamel paint. I think the front turned out kind of good. And over here looks kind of neat. They have a matching paint job because I painted them. Over here I've got a 16-inch barrel. Definitely a good deal lighter and a little bit shorter, but almost identical. Interchangeable barrel shrouds, right? And with Picatinny rail, these sights could go right on that gun and vice versa. Over here we can see that the bolt carrier is identical, just shrunk down. It is the same bolt carrier. The AR-10 being developed just before the 15 by Eugene Stoner. Both submitted to U.S. military trial. Same charge handle. This one happens to have an aftermarket one that's kind of fancy. It's like, don't tread on me. But they are identical in construction, and you can get a mil-spec charging handle just like this one for your AR-10. They are part for part. This is just a scaled up version. This grip used to live on this AR. They're completely interchangeable, which is very cool. Over here we have a magazine comparison. So this is a 25-round Magpul magazine. It's quite large. And then this is a 30-round AR-15 magazine. Magazine number 18, it looks like. And here is a 20-rounder for the AR-10. You can go down to, I believe I've seen as small as 5, which would be a flush mount, but the 20s and the 25s are the most common. All 4 of these rifles are definitely American classics, and I recommend that anybody who's into guns go out and shoot all 4 of them, try to acquire one of all 4 of them. But the 2 on the right, for any practical application, just outshine the 2 on the left. I like the M14 or the M1A, and I like the Mini 14, but I wouldn't trust them for anything serious. I wouldn't shoot a course with them. I wouldn't take one overseas, right? The AR-10 and AR-15 platforms just outshine them in weight, in reliability, in ease of maintenance, in modularity. But they're all 4 great rifles, and they're all 4 fun to shoot, and they all live in my collection. So I hope you enjoyed this little comparison of the 4.